Hi, I'm Bradley, and on today's episode of Story Proof, we are going to be doing something a little bit different. And to be honest, we were just not really able to get together for an episode this time. It has been hectic to say the least. The last few, I'd love to say days, but really weeks. So today we're going to get an episode that is just me. We had one previously where I was tied up in like three different theater shows at the same time, and Brendan just talked about the Oscars at the time. And right now, this is coming out right around the time of the Oblivion remaster, so the Elder Scrolls Oblivion remaster, and it just got me thinking about video games and video game remasters. So between the two of us, Brendan is he plays video games, but I'm like the gamer of I guess the group, the two of us. So I am much more in the video game world, pantheon, whatnot. So pretty much anytime you get a video game topic on this channel, it's usually me. But I just wanted to talk a little bit today about video games and the remasters, reboots, some reboots or remasters I would really like to see in the future, because there are certainly some, and even talk about some that are done really well and some that maybe missed the mark a bit. And I just thought this would be an interesting topic to talk about. So I already mentioned Oblivion. I will say that the Elder Scrolls I got into a little late. I actually started with Skyrim. I was in college when Skyrim came out, and like I mentioned in our previous episode about video games that kind of like broke gaming for a while, Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim was one of them. It was the only game that people talked about for a really long time. It was a game that it was so far reaching, people I had never heard talk about video games were all of a sudden talking about Skyrim and how great it was, how much they loved it. At the time, I didn't really even think about the fact it was Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. I just thought about it being Skyrim. Also, if you hear a weird noise in the background, my cat is very needy right now. So if you hear a sound in the background that sounds like someone is dying for attention, he is. That's him. He usually goes right outside. I don't usually have my door closed, but I do right now. I just wanted to let you guys know. So yeah, Skyrim came out in 2011, and I played it, loved it. My God, I think I've bought 5 versions of it now, because I had the original, and then I had it on Xbox 360, I believe, at the time, and then Xbox One, and then they did like the remastered version of that. I bought that on Xbox One, and then I bought it on PC, and then God, do I even have it on? I mean, I have it on my Steam Deck, but that's still the PC version. I think I maybe have it on my Switch. It's one of those games that's just, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. But what always killed me is my college roommate. There were 2 games that he played the absolute crap out of that I wished I had gotten into when they came out, because there are games that I still play to this day that came out when I was younger. I played them when they were released, and you kind of get that nostalgia factor built into it. It's almost like beer goggles type thing, where I can play them. I'm aware of the fact they don't look good or handle that well, but I still enjoy them because I enjoyed them back then. So the 2 for him, one of them was Knights of the Old Republic, and another one was Oblivion. He used to play Oblivion all the time, and I tried. But after playing Skyrim, I'm just like, wow, this is just like a worse version of Skyrim. Now I know that's gonna, annoy a lot of people, but that's just where I was coming from. I put an obscene amount of hours into Skyrim, and when I went back to try to play Oblivion, I'm just like, this looks and handles badly. It's clunky. It doesn't feel good. I don't enjoy this that much. So them doing a remaster of it, I was like, this is perfect. This is one of the games I would have loved to have been remastered. And I love even talking to other people that played the original and have played this. I love how many small things they kept in really between the two. There are still glitches and bugs that have been well known, well documented for years that they intentionally didn't fix, and I like that. There is a voice line in it at one point where the guy goes through the line and then goes, "Wait, let me do that again," and then does it again. That is so funny. The idea that a voice actor for a video game would reread a line and they're like, just leave it in. It's funny. It makes it feel a little meta in that particular moment, but in a good way. It's got a lot of like heart and soul to it that I kind of enjoy. I am having a blast playing the Oblivion remake. I am just absolutely loving it. So this is a remake where it has changed a lot of the graphics. Obviously, the game, it's on a different engine. It looks a lot better, handles a lot better, but a lot of the gameplay mechanics are still the same, very similar. Most of the voice acting is still the same. I think I saw that they brought in some people to redo some lines, or maybe not even redo, but just add a bit more, flesh it out a bit more, which is cool because if you do play a game enough, you notice, in Skyrim, I know like 5 voices in that game remarkably well. So you do, get used to that kind of stuff. But I do know a lot of people that there are just certain, idiosyncrasies that they would have liked to have seen in the Oblivion remaster, and it seems like a lot of people did. This really seems like a passion project. It was kind of shadow dropped. It was one of those things I didn't hear about until maybe 2 weeks before it came out, and then it was just rumors. Oh my god, they're going to do this. Oh my god. A lot of people thought they were going to announce the Oblivion remaster. No, they just dropped it. Charging for the horse armor again was very funny. Again, I didn't play Oblivion when it came out, but boy, did I know about that horse armor. A lot of people view that as the start of the microtransaction hell that unfortunately we are still in. But yeah, so that's a game where they just took what was there and just kind of made it better, kind of brought it into the modern era. A game series that I really liked the way that they did the changes was the Mass Effect series. So Mass Effect, for me personally, favorite video game series of all time. In my humble opinion, the best video game series of all time. And when I would go back and play 1, 2, and 3, 3 still looked and handled really well. 2 looked and handled pretty well. 1 did not. 1 was the obvious redheaded stepchild of that family. So then when they did the Legendary Edition a couple years ago, it made sense that the first game is the one with the most notable changes across the board. And it felt good. It really took the gameplay, took the graphics, and just brought everything into the modern era. But then they also tweaked a lot of things. So they changed a lot of the UIs, a lot of the menu layouts and things like that to make everything more accessible, to make it just easier to use, easier to read, because some of that old stuff could get pretty busy really fast, particularly going through menus and inventories. And God, there's so much in that game. But the fact that so much of the remaster went towards the focus of that, and then you can still feel a good bit of the Legendary Edition remaster stuff in the second one, and then a bit in the third, but I like the fact that they didn't just make everything look better and re-release it, because there have been some remasters, reboots, whatever, that, not really reboots, but remasters, where it really is just graphical updates, and that's sometimes not a bad thing. But that one, I like that they really went and did a lot of focus in the first game and then not as much in the second and third, because they didn't really need to as much. Another one that did a sort of similar thing was Halo. So specifically the Master Chief Collection, which I know they've added, I think they've added ODST and Reach. I'm mostly talking about Halos 1, 2, and 3, because those, to me, that's Halo. I've played 4, 5, Infinite, ODST, Reach. I'm Halo 1, 2, and 3. Now, Halo 1 had already had a remaster before the Master Chief Collection came out, so a lot of the groundwork had been laid for that one. It actually had a really funny thing where if you pressed, I just think of it as the back button, you could actually see a switch between the graphics from the way it used to look versus the way it did now. Oh my god, I love that feature. I love just being able to be like, is this really that different than it used to look? Press back. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah. Different world. Got it. I really enjoy that. So then when they did the Master Chief Collection, it was a kind of similar thing where 1 had already had a lot of the remaster groundwork there. 2 hadn't and really needed a lot of work to get up to there, to, where they wanted it to be. And then 3 didn't have as much, still a bit. But when you go back and play Halo 2 Anniversary on the Master Chief Collection, oh my God, the graphic changes are insane. That still, to this day, has some of the best looking cutscenes I've ever seen. I mean, they are stunning. And it's another situation where you've got a couple games in a single release where they really focused where they needed to. We got to see the improvements that a lot of us wanted to see. And then, it's kind of a similar thing where it's one-stop shop for all the games. I think the Halo 2 remaster, I think you could buy it separately, but I mean, the Master Chief Collection's really not too badly priced anyway. And then you do have situations where they remaster a specific game. So I'm a big Dark Souls fan. At some point in time, I am going to do one of these shorter single episodes just talking about Dark Souls. One of my favorite game series of all time, which is especially strange because, to be honest with you guys, I'm one of those people, I play games to relax. I play them to enjoy the whatever. I'm not one of those people that wants soul-crushingly difficult content. If I have a choice of difficulty, I'm usually on normal or easy. I am not a legendary mode person. But I fucking love Dark Souls. And it's very strange to me because they really shouldn't be up my alley, but they are. I actually had a friend that had me play through the tutorial, the first one, way back when, just to show me how difficult it was, and he got me hooked on it. And then I think I literally left his house and stopped at GameStop on the way home to buy my own copy. And I've been playing him ever since. Well, they did a remaster of the first Dark Souls a couple years ago, and it is fantastic. It's a very similar thing where they just sort of took a lot of what was there and brought it into the new generation of gaming. It is very funny because the game still handles badly. And I kind of dig it, If you haven't played Dark Souls 1 in a while, you stand still to drink your Estus, which I think is something people tend to forget, and you cannot roll diagonally unless you have a specific ring that changes your roll mechanic. And it's weird to go back and play and be like, wow, this game looks great. It looks like a modern game, but it still handles kind of like a piece of junk sometimes. But it's the charm. It's the fact that it looks like a new game, but feels like the old one in a good way. And I really like that. They did something a little different with Dark Souls 2, where they released the Scholars of the First Sin edition, where they changed a lot of stuff. But I, to the best of my knowledge, don't believe there were any graphical updates. I think they just kind of changed a lot of boss locations, item locations, and stuff like that. But the game, to the best of my knowledge, because I played the original and Scholars of the First Sin, and to the best of my knowledge, the gameplay itself is the same. It's just some things changed. So, interesting way to do it. And then we've got situations where games have been remastered where, in a similar thing to Oblivion, where they were so long ago, it's bringing them to the new age in a big way. The Demon Souls remake is one that I would love to play, because that's another one. I love Dark Souls. For me, Demon Souls, beyond the fact it's a PlayStation exclusive, it looks very old. So I've never played Demon Souls, still haven't to this day. And I really wanted to, but I didn't want to have to go get a PlayStation to buy it. I'm not a PlayStation person. I have an Xbox, but I'm mostly PC. But really, I just don't want to have to go get a PlayStation for one specific game. But that's one where the remaster was huge, because the time between the original and the remaster, my God, multiple game engines had come out, multiple game platforms in between, the generations of games. So that's one that when you look at the original versus the remake, you're like, yeah, they really put in some work on this. I mean, it's just a huge graphical update, a lot of gameplay changes I know that people wanted that they made, and then some that they kept the same way, in a similar vein to Dark Souls, where you still kind of want a bit of that clunkiness, a bit of that feel. That's one that, God, I wish. I've been waiting for them to port that over to PC for so long. I'm just very impatiently waiting for it. So those are just a few remakes. Then every now and then you get like a full-blown reboot. So the games I've been thinking of here lately that have been doing this are Resident Evil. So If you're not a longtime fan of the channel, you might not realize how obsessed I am with Resident Evil. Brendan thoroughly enjoys it as well, but I'm still got the stickers on my car, Umbrella Corporation, whole 9 yards. So when they started doing, they did the remaster of Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 0. So those are genuine remasters with a few gameplay changes. But then when you get to Resident Evil 2, I mean, it's a different game. It is just flat out a different game. This really is not a remaster. This is a reboot, truly a from the ground up passion project redoing of everything. And oh my God, does it show. That game is stunning. It looks fantastic. It handles very well. It's still got a little bit of the clunkiness, but I think it's just enough that fans of it can be like, oh yeah, I remember this. Tank control type stuff sometimes. Not as bad as it used to be. But there are a number of things, a number of moments that fans of the original can still appreciate. Because I played the original on freaking N64. The fact that I went from N64 for the original up to, I guess that's Xbox One and PS4, maybe PS5 generation. I was on PC, so sometimes I lose games in between what generation they're out on. But the changes from the original to this, I mean, it's, again, changes is a weird way to say it because it's just a new game. They did a very similar thing with 3, where they really just went like from the ground up and made an entirely new game with, it's still the same characters, same storylines, same basic beats and whatnot, but just such a gloriously reimagined version that it's awesome to see, man. And they did it with Resident Evil 4 as well. I'm somewhat hoping they're going to do it with 5. If they do it with 5, God, they still need to make it couch co-op. That is my favorite thing about 5. That is the reason that 5 has been my favorite one for so long. I am a sucker for couch co-op. Oh my God. Please, more of it. So, yeah, I do like reboots. We don't see them as often. A lot of companies would rather just do a remaster, be it good or bad, release it, and they know they're going to bank a reasonable amount of money on the remastered versions. Honestly, I was talking about Skyrim earlier. The Skyrim kind of remaster version that they did a couple years ago, one thing that was huge about it was the fact that it added mod support on consoles. Adding that one feature brought in so many new people. And I think that's awesome. That's really, really smart on their end. The modding game on PC had been going strong for years. So a lot of people started porting their stuff over for consoles. So by the time I got to mods on consoles for Skyrim, I mean, good God, the amount of stuff that was already there ready to go. It's just an infinite supply of DLC. And it just gave people a sandbox to just sit and create whatever they wanted. That's so smart. It's so cool to see. And that was just from a remaster where, the graphic updates had been a bit, I don't know how extensive they were, but you do really like to see stuff like that. At least I really like to see stuff like that. And then there are games that we just wish would be remastered. Oh my God, there are so many games. I know in my soul that I would trade every pending remaster for one series of games, and it's Army of Two. I would give up the Resident Evil 5 remaster. I would give up the potential Resident Evil 6 remaster. I would give up all of the pending remasters for Army of Two, Army of Two: The 40th Day, Army of Two: The Devil's Cartel in one package, all remastered, still with couch co-op. I would lose my shit at a re-release of that. Those games are so much fun. I think they are almost the king of couch co-op games. I really do. The aggro system was so cool. I love the characters. I love the gameplay. They're just fun. games, I mean, the customization options for weapons, particularly in the second and third ones. So the first one, the upgrade stuff, honestly, it can be a little boring because it's just like, oh, you go to barrels. As you go up, the barrels get better. So there's not a lot of options. It's just waiting until you unlock the better option. But then when you get to the second and third one, it's like, well, this barrel has more range. Well, this one has more stability. This one, whatever. So I've always liked stuff like that. It gives you a bit more freestyle when it comes to modding your weapons and things like that. Honestly, as much as I love the first one and as much as I enjoy the third one, I'd give up both of those remasters just for the 40th day. Army 2 the 40th Day is one of my all-time favorite games. I think I might be a bit in the minority on that one, to be completely honest. But I just loved it. I loved the story, the kind of unique art style that was going into it. You still got the same characters. The gameplay was just so much fun. The customization options were great. It was fun. I just absolutely loved it. I just hoping that they remaster that one. Another one is a bit of an older game, Star Wars Rogue Squadron. I just, I guess they just hate money because that's one of those games that, like, the more I go in life, the more I talk to people my own age, dude, every Star Wars fan just remembers Rogue Squadron. That was like the king of the N64 games. It still is. I mean, I know of people that have gone through the emulation process specifically to play the original Rogue Squadron. It's been ported over to PC. Not gonna lie, I don't find it to be a very good port. The controls are horrible. But I've just been waiting. I mean, they made Squadrons. They've got the game play mechanics that they would need in place. They've got the stuff from Battlefront 2. They've got the stuff there. Just remake the game. I really wish they would do that one. That's an older one, a much older one, as well as Quest 64. I'm a bit of a sucker for fantasy RPGs. That is a game that I wish it had more love. I really do. I don't think I know of a single other person that's ever played it. The only one that I know of, but I would just love to see a remaster of that older game. I think that would be absolutely incredible. There are a few recently that I really wanted. Super Mario RPG was high up my list for a very long time. That honestly might be the first RPG game I ever played back on, I believe, the Super Nintendo. And they re-released that. That game is 95% of the reason why I got a Nintendo Switch. Don't regret that at all. Another one they did recently was Awakening. That was a game I played on the original Game Boy. Absolutely loved it. Was wanting a remaster for a long time. Hey, look at that. Finally got one. So, I also think it's really nice to be able to remaster some older games where they run a handheld console. Game Boy, Game Boy Advance games. They're just so perfectly set up to be remastered for the Nintendo Switch. It's just an easy porting. I would kind of like a remaster of some of the older Metroid games. I think they just did Metroid Prime remastered, actually. But some of the older Game Boy Advance ones, like Zero Mission, I would really enjoy a remaster of. They did the Mega Man games, but to be completely honest, the Mega Man Battle Network games, I should say, but to be completely honest, they don't really look any different to me. So I don't know how extensive of a remake that was. I think maybe that was just sort of a port and combining everything into one package, but that's just me. But yeah, there are, still so many games that I would love to see remastered. Old Brute Force, it's an Xbox original game. I would love to see that remastered. The original 3 Gears of War games, I know they did one for 1. I'd really like them to remaster 2 and 3, specifically 2. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Spawn Armageddon, would love to see that one remastered. Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, would love to see that remastered. That's one that they've been talking about on and off for years. That one, maybe they should, instead of a remaster, do a full head-to-toe reboot, kind of like they did with Resident Evil. Maybe that's the way to go. But that's one I think if they did 1 and 2 and then released it as a dual package, I just think it would sell like crazy. But yeah, some older games I just think are very, very well suited for remakes, like old games. But that's just me. I hope this has been a somewhat enjoyable rambling. If it sounds weird, let me rephrase that. I know it sounds weird. This was a recording. Our current recording place is a dining room table. It was not available to me tonight. Again, moving. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy this. If you have any discourse for the the remake reboot scandal that I have started, let me know. If there are any you maybe disagree about, or really what I'm interested in is other games that people want to see remastered or rebooted. That is always something I really enjoy talking with people about, is things that I maybe never would have thought of. Sometimes games I've never even heard of that they're like, I would die for this remaster. And I'm like, cool, that's passionate. Like for me, Army of Two, The Devil's Cartel. I'm sorry, Army of Two, The 40th Day. That's like the one I wish would be remastered. Especially because at this point, you can't even play it unless you still have an Xbox 360 and the game disc, which I do have both of those things. But yeah, let us know below if there are any that you disagree with, any that you think you'd like to see remastered, or maybe even rebooted. Those the top to bottom, ground floor to the top floor remastered. Just that's a lot. God, that must be so much to have to completely redo everything like that. Port stuff over, new engines, whole 9 yards. Oh my God. But boy, when they do it, they do it well. The Resident Evil 2 is just one of the best games ever. I'm such a sucker for Resident Evil, though. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this episode. We've got a regular dual episode for both of us coming back at you. We're going to do some shorter episodes like this from time to time where it's just one of us talking about something that maybe, when I'm going to talk about Dark Souls, Brendan's never played Dark Souls. So if he was there, he would just kind of be, in the background while I'm rambling for whatever. So if there are certain topics that just one of us is really passionate about or interested in, we're just going to let that one person kind of have their moment, shorter episode, good to go. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you guys tune in the future. But for right now, this is Bradley signing off, and this has been Story Proof.